to have you here. Thank you to those who have introduced themselves. I see Uganda is in the house. I see we have Nigeria, Kenya. Yes, so thank you and keep on introducing yourself. So today we are so delighted to have Dr. Idowu Omisile once more to help us unravel the complicated world of mixed method research. Last time, 2 weeks ago, we had a similar session, and it was so good because we got to learn so much that we didn't know that we would learn, and we asked for another session to allow us to really understand mixed methods. As I said last time, at ADA Africa, we are passionate about producing knowledge from Africa, and we know that sometimes the education system and the way it has been set up, it doesn't allow for people to really engage with research in the way that it is meant, that it is about storytelling, it's about us producing knowledge for ourselves so that we can solve our problems. And so the way it is taught, sometimes we don't get to really master the skills that are required to help us to produce knowledge with confidence. And therefore, by providing webinars such as this, individual mentorship, open oral research presentations where we have mock defenses. These are some of the ways that ADA Africa is supporting scholars across Africa to be able to produce knowledge with confidence and with community. So without further ado, I want to welcome Dr. Idowu once more to tell us and share with us what he has prepared for this second part of the mixed method research webinar. Please note that we will share the recording of this training. If you are a member, you'll be able to access it on the WhatsApp group of the Africana Journal Club. If you're not a member, we'll be sharing a link for you to register as a member and then access the recording and also the slides. So welcome, Dr. Idowu. I will say karibu, which means welcome in Swahili. So karibu, Dr. Idowu.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, I'm very grateful for the privilege to make this second presentation. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Kagendo. Thank you very much for the warm reception, and it's been a nice experience for me to be able to make this presentation. All right, so the last time we talked about mixed method research, and there were some loose ends that we couldn't tie together at that presentation, which was one of the reasons why we had to have a follow-up presentation. And also, so that is the primary reason why we had to have a follow-up presentation. And I had to do a lot of digging around to be sure that we've covered at least most of the questions that were raised have been answered, will be answered, and I'm honored to be able to make this presentation here. So last time I made a mistake. Thank you for correcting me, Kagendo. I mixed up the name. I put the head of somebody on the shoulder of another person, so I didn't know, but I was corrected, and so in order to be on the safe side. So thank you very much, Ed Africa. Thank you, Africana Journal Club, and everybody that is involved. I'm grateful, and especially our project manager. You are doing well, like we say in Nigeria. All right, so I'm Idowu Omishile, data analyst and research consultant, and also the head of operations at Project Partner Data Solutions. I'm a certified Atlas TI and MassQDA trainer, and a member of the Nigerian Institute of Management, along with a lot of other commitments. I have my PhD in industrial stroke organizational psychology from Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, Nigeria, and like that. So today's presentation is drawn largely from the Guide to Mixed Methods Research by Atlas T. So Atlas T has a very comprehensive material on mixed method research, and I decided to lean heavily on them because having gone through a lot of resources, I found that their material was up to date. and it's something that can be referenced easily. So I've put the link here, and when you get the slides, you'll be able to get the link as well, so that you can equally go by it. And I would strongly recommend that if you are trying to planning to go into mixed method research, take time to go through the entire material. It may take you more than a day to complete because it's very much, but very comprehensive and condensed, and it will be worth your time. So today I'll be talking on four key areas. Number one, how to choose a mixed method research design. I'll be talking about triangulation in mixed method research. I'll be talking about sampling strategies in mixed method research and reporting your mixed method research. There are a lot of other things to talk about, but for the scope of our time, and then you can also get all this from the comprehensive material provided by Atlas T. However, if you need more, I've referenced some of the materials that were conducted in this presentation that you can also go on and learn from. So, before we proceed, I'm thinking we can have a little bit of exercise to warm up. So, I'll give you 10 minutes to take this exercise. Just visit, let me post the link in the chat now. It's an exercise for everybody. I want to see how much of what we spoke about you remember in the last class, and then also to see how much you actually know at the moment about mixed method research. So your time starts now. You have 10 minutes to complete your quiz. I believe you can see the link on the screen. You can scan the QR code if you wish to. You can click the link in the chat. I think I should just put it in our WhatsApp group as well. So you can follow the link and take the quiz. It's just for 10 minutes and the time has started. Kindly attempt it and let's see how well we can perform. So the time
The link is not yet on the WhatsApp chat.
okay, I've put it. Can you please confirm again now? I've put it back now.
Okay.
I've posted it again in the WhatsApp group page, but I've also posted it in the chat of this meeting. And you can also type it out in your browser by looking at what you are seeing on your screen at the moment. So any of them will work out fine.
Yes, they are all there. Yeah. So let's attempt.
Yes, we are taking a quiz. So that's why you're not hearing anything. If you look at your screen, we are taking a warm-up exercise. So just attempt the exercise. We have 7 minutes to go. So I'm reposting the link as people are joining the group so that as they are joining, you can go ahead and take your own quiz. So we have 7 minutes to go to complete the quiz and submit. So once you are done, you can share your score in the chat and let's see how well we are performing. I hope the questions are not too hard. We have 4 minutes to go. Once you are done, you can share your score with us in the chat. Okay. 110 over 150, 100 over 150, 130 over 150. It seems you already have professionals here. Maybe I should not even bother again.
Wow, Dr. Ido, today I'm doubling up as a student and also a
Yes,
moderator.
yes, I can see the scores and they are quite impressive. So each question actually attracts 10 marks.
Aha, okay.
So that's why the scores are so high. Well done, everybody. These are impressive scores. 2 minutes to go. So 120. All right. This is good. This is good. This is good. 130. Nobody has taken 150. So the highest I've seen so far is 130. One 120. All right. Well done, everybody. We have 41 seconds to go. So while as we wait for the other scores to come in, we'll proceed with presentation. Well done to everyone that's taken the test. And how was it? Let me get on to feedback. How was it? Was it difficult to respond to? What are the challenges you think you experienced? And anybody? Okay. If nobody will talk, I will call someone. I'm gonna call one person. The person that scored bounty, CC. Could you please talk to us? How was the exercise for you?
What's the exercise doc was not very hard. All it needed was to read clearly the questions. I can say the question which I failed is because I rushed to take because it was about analysis, and me I answered from the point of data collection. So I think we just needed to read even the questions and read through all the questions well and the multiple choices which are provided. And then on my part, it wasn't difficult at all. And I picked the mistake. When I went back to read the question, I said, I did not read to the end because I was trying to beat time.
All right, okay. Thank you very much. I think that will be fine. Well done, everybody. So I believe it was a good warm up for us to check what we have done and surprise. Actually, some of them will still be things that I will be talking about during today's class. So it's a way to whet your appetite and to get you prepared for the class. So starting with how to choose the right mixed method design. In the last class, we talked about what to do with mixed method, different kind of mixed method, and then we also talked briefly about how to choose the right mixed method design. And I spoke about things to consider, reasons why you do a mixed method. Maybe you want to triangulate your findings. You want to use one method of research to validate the finding of another. Then you want to confirm maybe findings through convergence of qualitative and quantitative data. Then you can do a mixed method, or you want to use a method, a source of data to complement another. Maybe you want to use one method to explain or elaborate on the findings of another. Then you may consider doing a mixed method, or maybe you want to develop you want to use one study to develop another. You want to use one study to help you to build upon another one. Then you can do a mixed method. Another reason is probably you want to challenge a findings. You want to see whether there are contradictions or surprises or new perspectives that question existing assumptions. Then you may want to do a mixed method, or you want to expand upon a particular finding. You want to like, okay, you want to get a fuller or a more holistic picture of something that you discovered in your study, then you may consider a mixed method research as well. So some considerations you should put into mind when doing a mixed method research. Number one, think about your intent. Why? And why is explained in all of this reasons. Why do you want to do a mixed method research? For instance, maybe you are thinking of doing a convergent design. It is ideal. Maybe you want to compare quantitative or qualitative results, or maybe you want to develop a scale. For instance, you may want to do a qualitative results first, qualitative study first, then you can do a quantitative after you have developed a skill. Or maybe you've done a large scale study, then you want to dig deeper into a particular area. For instance, I have someone that's doing an experiment. So what this person is doing is that person wants to first of all wants to identify students that have a particular characteristic. So the person developed a survey and shared it out. Then those that turn out to meet that threshold were those that will now be called in for further study. You can now go ahead and do a qualitative research with those kind of people. Then another thing you should consider is what we should be familiar with the method that is favored in your field of expertise. Some fields will favor you doing a convergent or concurrent mixed method. Some will prefer a sequential method. So you should be familiar with what goes in your field of endeavor so that you will not end up doing something that will be different from what is acceptable. Then you should consider expertise. Like we mentioned in the last session, don't think that you have to have 20% quantitative and 70% qualitative to do a mixed method. To do a mixed method, you should have 100 in both. In both, let's say 80-80. Let's say we are not a grandmaster. You should have 80-80 in both. Not that I say that because I'm doing mostly quantitative and less qualitative, then I should have like say 20% skill in quantitative and have 80% skill in qualitative. No, because you have to give attention to um the full extent of rigor that each methodology requires. You are not allowed to lower the standard. And if you think you can't do that, then collaborate with others. Also, maybe you are a primarily from a quantitative background. You have a very strong capacity in quantitative. Then you may probably consider doing an explanatory sequential, for instance. In that situation, you are doing a primarily quantitative study and you are supporting it with findings from a qualitative study. Or if you're a primarily qualitative person, you can consider doing a primarily qualitative study. That will be an exploratory sequential, a primarily qualitative study, and you support it with findings from a quantitative study. Somebody like me, I'm able to do both. So I can do concurrent, I can do anyone that I wish to. Another consideration you should think about is time. Very, very important. Do you have the time to do the kind of qualitative research you want to do? Remember, anybody doing sequential means that you are carrying out two full studies, one after the other. Do you have the time? You should keep it into very, very careful consideration so that you will not end up being unable to complete your study, right? And lastly, you should consider complexity of the design. Convergent designs, for instance, though they are conducted in the single phase, can be complex to conduct, maybe because of the need for data integration or things like that. Even sequential studies, you have to layer complex designs upon one another, or talk about embedded studies where you have to, some even do quantitative, qualitative, quantitative. So you do multiple versions of them, one on top of the other. So you have to consider the complexity of what you are doing. I'll say again, research requires a lot of thought. Don't just jump into it. Because if you jump into it, you may get stuck and you'll have wasted time and resources and you may end up being unable to complete your research. So look at this matrix of key decisions to consider in choosing a mixed method research. We have the level of interaction, priority of weight, timing, and mixing of strategies. So when we talk about level of interaction, the data, the quantitative and qualitative data you are collecting, are you going to be analyzing them independently, or you are doing an interactive evaluation of the two? That's one decision to consider. For instance, maybe the quantitative findings should be kept separate from the qualitative until you are at the interpretation stage. For instance, then you should take a very careful consideration in this. This is one thing you want to pay attention to when you are doing your choosing your mixed method research. Another thing you should consider is, what is the priority of weight? Is it that both the quantitative and qualitative have equal weight in your research, or one has a higher weight compared to the other? So you have to decide. But if you sit down and look very well at your own intention, you'll be able to understand that, okay, it seems I'll prefer to do this compared to the other. So if you are doing giving them equal weight, for instance, then you may be doing a concurrent study. Or if you are doing giving them unequal weight, you may end up be doing a quant qual or a qual quant, for instance, right? Another thing you want to consider is timing. Like, when you are collecting your data, are you collecting them at the same time, or you collect one first, then use it to inform the second one? That will also help you to decide which method you're using. Apparently, you're using concurrent if you are collecting the two of them at the same time. You're using sequential. If you are collecting one first, then you are collecting the other. And I mentioned that there are multi-phase designs where you collect one, then you go analyze, then you come back to the second one, and things like that. Another thing I'll be talking about here is mixing of strategies. So, so here now, I'll talk about point of interface and mixing of strategies. So when you are talking about point of interface, it's talk about how you are integrating your quantitative and qualitative data. What is the point where the quantitative and the qualitative meet in your work? Is it at the interpretation stage, or at the analysis stage, at the data collection stage, or at the design stage? Your choice depends on your research objectives and the structure of your work. Of course, some studies integrate only once at the interpretation stage. They integrate only quantitative and qualitative at the interpretation stage, but others do it multiple times. In the course of in this presentation, I will show you several papers that used quantitative and qualitative. We'll look at their design together, we'll critique it, and we'll be able to have a better understanding of how these people have gone about their presentation. Mixing at the design level. So at this point, you are integrating mixed method from the beginning of your work. It is useful, for instance, when you are embedding one method in another, or you are aligning your research with theoretical frameworks. So, for instance, let's look at embedding in, for example, under this we can have embedded mixing. You do a small component of maybe quantitative within a larger qualitative component, or a small component of qualitative within a larger quantitative component. You are doing a nationwide survey, and then you now sample a few key people within several clusters, so that you can strengthen the findings from the quantitative. Theoretical framework based mixing, which is guided by a conceptual theory, and then there's also program and objective based mixing, where you carry out multiple studies which are aligned towards your program goal. You can also mix during data collection, where you do your integration as you are collecting your data. So one strand will inform the other. For instance, you can carry out a quantitative survey, and from a quantitative survey, it will inform the people you are selecting for your interview. Maybe you are doing a study on academic performance of students, and the students that score very high and those that score very low, you now do interview for them to know factors that affect their interview. So apart from the quantitative findings, you can be able to use the findings to now say, okay, those that score high in your test and those that score low, you now say, okay, you now carry out you you interview them. For instance, I'm taking a training in monitoring and evaluation. I'm part in a class. So our instructor was saying that you want to evaluate how well the training has been going. So you do a pre-test and then you do a post-test. So some people score very high and some people score very low. So you may want to interview the person that scored high, like, okay, what did you do that made you score high? But you also want to talk to the person that scored low. Was that, is it that our curriculum was really that bad that made you score so low, or is something else the factor? Because if you talk to the person that scored low, you'll be able to understand maybe it's either your curriculum that is bad or the students are going through something that is affecting their academic performance, right? So it helps you in logical sequencing and deeper exploration of your data. Then we can do mixing during analysis of our research. After conducting separate quantitative and qualitative data collection, we can merge your results through interactive comparison. You can create matrices for comparing your findings, or you can transform your data. For instance, you can quantify your qualitative data. Maybe you can begin to do count and qualitative number, or you can qualify your quantitative data where you if you have quantitative data, you can have, for instance, some people have open-ended questions in their survey that can then convert it to qualitative data that you also report accordingly. Lastly, mixing during interpretation. So after you have done quantitative and qualitative research, you can decide to synthesize the result at the stage of interpretation. You synthesize findings to identify relationships and draw conclusions. It gives you a nuanced understanding by combining perspectives. Like I mentioned, we'll look at some studies shortly to be able to understand. For example, CSA's quantitative, you see student test scores, you do a qualitative interview on study habits, then you now do a combine to see how pattern of studying affect their performance, patterns in learning behavior. So look at this diagram. I found it in one of the materials I was trying to, when I was putting materials together, and I'm like, okay, I think I like it. It's something that we can use to do a bit of more explanation on what we're doing. So you see methodological choice. Mono method, well, I'll call it single method. Single method quantitative, you are doing solely quantitative research. Single method qualitative, solely quantitative research. Or multiple method. Under multiple method, we have multi-method, we have mixed method. So multi-method quantitative, where you are doing quantitative, but you are doing several kinds of quantitative. For instance, the person I told you about is doing survey and intervention experiment. So in the survey, we have the administer questionnaire to a lot of students, then we assess the scores. Those that fall within a particular threshold, they were separated for an intervention. So at the intervention, they are given a pre-test questionnaire and are given a post-test questionnaire. Then they are comparing the scores. In this situation, they are not carrying out any interview. Everything is solely quantitative. So they've done survey and experiment. That would be a multi-method quantitative. Or we can have a multi-method qualitative where you are combining different qualitative methods. Then we now have a mixed method research. We can have the simple mixed method or the complex mixed. Example of a simple mixed will be concurrent, where you do simple quantitative and qualitative, or you can do sequential, and then we can have the complex ones like embedded, multi-phase, and things like that. So that is the first section of my presentation. Can I get a few reactions before I proceed to talk about triangulation, which was one of the key issues that came up as well in our last conversation? Any question, any response? Yes, triangulation is still a foreign concept, so we make it a citizen concept now. What is the opposite of foreign? Opposite of foreign is local, be indigenous, and we make it an indigenous concept shortly.
I have a question. Can I
Please.
ask a question?
Please ask.
Thank you very much. My name is Rose Clark Nanyonga. I'm the Vice Chancellor at Clark International University. Can you speak briefly about the challenges in undertaking both rigor when you mix qualitative and quantitative research? What happens usually is students know that they want to undertake a mixed methods because they want to explore nuances. But then the qualitative part usually is sort of a by the way in the analysis and therefore in the discussion. So can you explain how faculty and students can pay close attention to both so that the rigor of research is reflected in the work when you undertake the mixed approach?
All right, thank you very much for your question. So let me come back to this place to answer that question. So when you want to do a mixed method research, the first one, so I have come to learn that research is a deliberate and purposive action. You don't just stumble into it. You don't do it casually. You don't do it like, let me just do it. You have to be very deliberate. Before you start your study, you say you want to do a mixed method research. The faculty should probably ask the student, this mixed method you want to do, how do you want to go about it? Because the student may have an idea of what they want to do, but it may not be grounded in their mind. They say, I want to do interview, I want to do, first of all, like we mentioned in our last class, when are you integrating the findings? Or let me say it this way, what weight are you applying to the findings? Which one is taking a stronger weight? Are you focusing more on the quantitative or more on the qualitative? Number one. Number two, is it that your research questions are such that quantitative methods are not enough to answer them, and you need qualitative to support? Or the qualitative method is not sufficient, you need quantitative method support? Why are you going to be doing both when you could have done one of them? So that's the second question. Third question, how do you want to marry the findings together? Let's say objective one can be answered by your quantitative data, objective two by your quantitative data, objective three, is it quantitative or qualitative? That is possible, where we have some objectives that can be answered by quantitative, objective by quantitative. But if you are using both, then you want to merge them together, you want to integrate the findings. How do you want to do it? Are you focusing more on the quantitative or on the qualitative? Or is it that after you interpret the quantitative for a particular objective, then you are going to bring in the findings from the qualitative to compare and contrast? Are they similar or are they different? So what faculty can do, first of all, is to do a sensitization for the students. Because many times students want to experiment, they want to try out new things, but sometimes they are confused. So what I think one good thing faculty can do is to do a proper sensitization for the students, probably when it is time for students to start their research, gather the final year students together, ignoring whether they are taking courses in research methodology or not, explain to them, this is how to do this. If you want to do this, this is what it means to do this. If you want to do this, this is what you will need to do this thing. And like I mentioned, you must be sure you have expertise for both quantitative and qualitative. If you don't have the expertise, then collaborate with others or get an expert that can support you in your work. So faculty can take time to sensitize the students on what it means to do both, and how are they planning to integrate their findings. Is it that they want to bring it in objective by objective, or there's only a particular objective that they're planning to answer with either the quantitative or the qualitative research? Then they will be able to know what exactly they are doing, and they'll be able to make their choices from there. I don't know, does it seem to answer your question, ma'am?
Yes, thank you very much.
All right. Does anybody else have anything they want to ask? Yes, somebody's hand is up.
Yes, Doctor, I have also a question.
Yes, sir.
I am John Steve from Uganda.
All right, sir.
Kabale University PhD student. Can
All
you share more light on the explanatory sequential design and concurrent design, how they are used in mixed method? Thank you very much, Doctor.
Thank you very much, sir. For the sake of our time, I won't want to go back to that for two reasons. Number one, we spoke about it in our last session. Number two, the material that I referenced to you, the mixed method material by Atlas team, contains a full explanation of this. And then in the first slide that I shared a lot of useful resources that you can refer to. However, let me talk briefly on them. So in concurrent design, you are doing both quantitative and qualitative at the same time. You are collecting both data at the same time, and you are planning to use your result. Maybe you are now using the interpretation, you are interpreting them at the same time, or quantitative is used for one objective, qualitative is used for one objective, etc. But sequential, you collect one first, then you go back to collect the other. Timing is not because you are busy and some people will respond to you first, then you go to the second one. That's not the reason. The reason is because maybe you want to use the findings from one to strengthen the other. For instance, like I said, maybe you are studying a rare case of maybe psychosis, or you want to see those that have borderline psychosis. For instance, let's say you are studying psychology, and you just know that you want to see which of the students have this characteristic, or students that have an obsessive compulsive disorder, OCD, and you don't know how to find them. So you now administer your questionnaire to a large number of students. From those that you administer to, you now score them. Now say, okay, these are the people that fall within this threshold. Then you invite them for interview. What have you done in that situation, sir? Let me see if you can answer my question. Mr. John Steve, sir.
Yes, Professor, that gives some direction.
Okay,
if you could share more material, I will go back and internalize what you said. Thank you very much, Doctor.
I asked you a question, sir. If you do a survey, then you go back to do interview, what method of mixed method have you done in that situation? Is that concurrent or sequential?
Sequential. Sequential.
All right. Yes, that's sequential. That's correct, because you did one first, then you come back to do the other. There are several reasons why you want to do. So the video of the first class is already on the EDA Africa YouTube channel. Please reach out to Kagendo. She'll be able to help you to access it. You'll be able to see the fuller explanation that we gave. And I really enjoyed that lecture. And I want you to please indulge me and do that. Concurrent, to correct both at once. Yes, that's correct. That's correct. Thank you to everyone that's responded. For the question from Clark, there's a rational belief that quantitative data is more objective, as I little about. I think, no, I will not go with the idea that, okay, traditional belief, but it doesn't mean it is correct that quantitative method is more objective than, okay, objective doesn't mean it is better. This is a misconception. So they focus more on quantitative. Yes, it's a misconception. That's correct. That's correct. It's a misconception. It doesn't mean that quantitative is better than qualitative. All right. So I think I will proceed to talk on triangulation. So you see my triangle there. Triangulation was a term borrowed from navigation, where you use 2 points to calculate the location of a third point. And
we can't get your slide, please. We can't see your slide.
All right. Okay, let me share my.
Yes, please.
Okay, let me share my. Probably you tapped on my face because my slide is showing. You can click on the switch away from the presenter view. But let me stop sharing.
Okay.
And
no, the slide is there, Doctor.
Yes.
Doctor, the slide was there.
Probably she's looking at presenter view.
Okay, I will do that.
The slide is showing. It could probably be his network, maybe.
It's okay.
Can you see my slide now, please?
Just go ahead. Yeah, I can see your slide now. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, ma'am. So triangulation is a term that was borrowed for navigation. Talk about the use of multiple perspectives to study a single phenomenon. It aims at enhancing confidence in findings by considering different approaches. And you can do this by combining method, combining data sources, combining investigators, or theoretical framework. There's a saying in the Christian Bible that says that out of the mouth of two or more witnesses, the truth shall be established. So you want to get the findings from several perspectives so that you can be able to establish the truth of your data. So I'm going to talk about method triangulation, data triangulation, investigator triangulation, and theory triangulation. So what do we mean by method triangulation? Means you use different data collection methods to study the same phenomenon. It helps you to enhance the depth and breadth of your understanding, e.g., qualitative data and quantitative data. So what are the types of methodological triangulation? The source that I work with, that is the Atlas C. They actually cited Creswell. Creswell is an authority in mixed method research in their work. So from this, we have the within method triangulation and the between method triangulation. So what is the difference? Within means that you are within a single research strand, maybe within quantitative or within qualitative. So if you're doing quant, a quantitative and another quantitative, then you are triangulating by quantitative. So in this situation, like I said, triangulation means that you are using more than one source to confirm a finding. Maybe you did both survey and what other quantitative method we did? You did both survey and experiment on a particular subject matter. For instance, for example, that's just an example. Then you are doing something like within method triangulation. You are using several sources. You can use 2, you can use 3. Then between method will now be when you combine both quantitative and qualitative. So within method, same different technique within a single strand. Between method, 2 different techniques within 2 different strands. For example, you combine survey with key informant interview. Is that clear?
Yes, it is.
All right.
Yes, it's
So,
clear.
benefits: it enhances reliability and validity, reduces single method limitations, addresses research questions comprehensively, it increases confidence in your results and minimizes method bias. It also strengthens your conclusions. However, it has challenges. It is time consuming and resource intensive and requires careful planning for data consistency. Next, data triangulation. In data triangulation, you collect data from multiple sources or at different times to validate your findings. It ensures all perspectives of the phenomenon is captured. For instance, you are doing a cross-sectional survey. You make sure that you cover different age groups, you cover different gender, different socio-demographic factors. You make sure that they are well represented. Or you can even cover different locations, for instance. So you triangulate by person, you can triangulate by space, you can triangulate by time. It is used to examine consistency of findings across different conditions, which strengthens credibility of your research. Some issues with data triangulation: it provides you with holistic view of your phenomenon. It enhances external validity. Why? Because your data has been collected from several samples. So you can say that this thing is not just tied to a particular location, and it improves your generalizability of your work. But challenge is you have to one of the challenge will be to ensure that your data sources remain comparable, because you are going to different places, to be sure that maintaining comparability can be a challenge in data triangulation. Is that clear? Can I proceed?
Yes,
Yeah, you can proceed.
Yes.
All right,
Can I
thank you
ask?
very much. Thank
Yes,
you.
please.
Investigator triangulation involves multiple researchers gathering, analyzing, and interpreting the same data. Why do you want to do that? It helps you to minimize individual bias and broaden analytical perspective. For instance, maybe you are doing a study on a particular kind of behavior and you involve a psychologist, a sociologist, and a communication expert. All of them go to the field to collect data, or they are examining the same phenomenon. So when they come back, you'll be able to see, it will be able to help you to, because surprisingly, when you're in a particular field, your way of thinking is usually streamlined along that line. So with the support from these other factors, they can help you to get a more broad perspective, something that you probably naturally not think of in your own field. they can be able to bring it out, and you'll be something like, wow, I never thought of that before. Benefits: it strengthens credibility and dependability by adopting diverse viewpoints. It enhances inter-rater reliability and fosters collaborative research. Like we said last time, journals like you to collaborate. So this kind of technique is very good for collaboration. However, it has challenges. There's high potential for disagreement among researchers. Like we used to say in our place, they like to speak English, they'll be speaking grammar to one another. And this one, that one, this one, that one, but it's fine. But this disagreement can lead to extended discussion and delay in finalizing results. So it requires effective communication and a well-defined protocol so that you will not spend too long on something that should have taken a short period of time. Lastly, we have theory triangulation. It involves using multiple theories to interpret data. It broadens your analytical perspective, reduces theoretical bias, ensures richer, more balanced insights, enables comparison of framework, reviews gaps and new insights, and it requires clear justification for the use of each theory. That is theory triangulation. So here now, I've talked about triangulation as the use of multiple perspectives to study a single phenomenon. And the aim is to enhance confidence in findings by considering different approaches. We'll talk about 4 methods of triangulation. Yeah, everybody tell me, what are the 4 methods of triangulation that I've talked about?
Data, investigators,
investigator,
Methodological, method.
Methodological or method triangulation.
Yeah. Theoretical triangulation.
All right, thank you very much, everybody. Let me clap for you. You've done well, 10 over 10. So benefit of triangulation: it enhances credibility and depth. True. Methodological triangulation ensures, oh, sorry, I skipped this one. Difference between triangulation and mixed method research. Both of them serve different purposes. Triangulation is to strengthen the validity of findings using multiple perspectives, whereas mixed method integrates quantitative and qualitative to provide richer understanding. So we can say that mixing method is a form of triangulation, but that is not the only way to triangulate your data. I think that's answered the question from last week. So benefits of triangulation: it enhances credibility. Methodological triangulation ensures validity through multiple methods. Data triangulation improves reliability using varied sources. Investigator triangulation minimizes bias with multiple researchers, while theory triangulation broadens the interpretation with diverse lenses. So question: how is triangulation different from intercodal reliability in qualitative research? Who can answer the question? Anybody? The silence is loud. All right. To save our time. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. The question
All right.
was bit tough, but yes, we can hear
The
you.
question is technical, V. Okay, let me explain. In qualitative research, there's something called intercodal reliability, where you give your transcripts to 2 different sets of coders to go and code the same transcript. What you want to do is to see whether they will code the same codes. They apply the same kind of codes to the same transcript. So you want to see the level of agreement in their coding or level of divergence. So the issue is that because we know that qualitative research can be very biased and subjective, so intercodal reliability is carried out to ensure that you consider the perspective of different people in analyzing your data. So how is it different from triangulation? Well, I can almost say that intercodal reliability is a form of triangulation because you are now involving different data analysts to code the same data and to be able to show that your findings are not biased. So we can call it that would be investigator triangulation in another form, in another method. So thank you very much. That is that on that. So the second to the last thing I'll be talking about today is sampling strategies in mixed method research. Do you have any question before I go to this technique? Does anybody want to take a water break or a stretching break?
Maybe I have a small question to ask.
Please ask, sir.
Is there a difference between integration and investigator translation?
Please ask that question again.
Is there a difference between investigator? Is there a difference between investigator, the investigation stage, or the between the investigation stage and then an integration stage? Is there a difference between investigation and integration stage?
Please, a moment, sir. A moment, please.
All right, as we wait for Dr. Ido, someone is asking for the slides to be shared. Yes, we shall share the slides after the session because normally Dr. Ido, depending on the questions, likes to add some links for resources. So we'll give him time to update and then share with us. Meanwhile, if you're not a member of the Africana Journal Club, you could join so that you can access the materials. I'm going to share the link, the registration link, so that you make sure that you not only get the materials for today, but also from the part 1 of this webinar series. So the link is now on chat. Yeah, for those who want to join ADA Africa to access the resources. Welcome back, Dr. Ido.
Thank you very much. Sorry, I had to briefly change my location. But yes, join AIDA Africa. The AIDA Africa is not only to do webinar like this, but also to provide research mentorship and support you in your various aspects of your research. And I think it's a decision that you will not regret. All right, and if you know anybody that's struggling with their research, encourage them to join AIDA Africa, so they'll be able to get a lot of support. Am I speaking the truth? Am I speaking right, Kagendo? All right, I guess
yes, you are. Yes, you are.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, Sam, who is annotating on my screen? Where's my eraser? Let me clean this thing off. Please don't annotate on the screen. I know it's possible, it can be tempting to do that, but let's not annotate on the screen so that I will keep the screen clean for everybody. Sampling strategies in mixed method research. Sampling is how you select participants for your study. In mixed method research, sampling integrates qualitative and quantitative sampling, and it ensures alignment with your study design. It supports representativeness and depth, and it influences data quality and generalizability. So how do you go about it? You have to understand, like I mentioned earlier, that quantitative sampling, if you are doing mixed method research, you have to use the full extent of rigor that quantitative sampling requires, full extent for qualitative sampling, because you are marrying the two in your study. So you must understand both. Quantitative sampling is breadth focused. That means you are talking about how many people do we get. The more, the merrier. That's quantitative research. And also, it is focused on statistical precision. You are more focused on ensuring that you collect the right data. You talk about calculating your sample size using sample size calculation formula. So it is probability based, and then you talk about power and increasing the power of your sample, increasing the effect size and things like that. The goal of your quantitative research is to have external validity, to be sure that your research is true to what is happening out there and applies in as much places as possible. Breadth. On the other hand, qualitative research is more personal, it's more about depth. How deep can we go into this matter? So sampling people in qualitative research is purposive. You are deliberately looking for who to involve because you don't just bring everybody into your research. And it generates rich data. You look for information-rich cases, and the focus of qualitative research is saturation. Saturation means where you have gotten enough information about your subject matter from as much people as possible, such that subsequent interviews will not generate anything different from what you have heard before. You know, I used to think about sampling in qualitative research like this. Let's say somebody is inside his house, is passing through, and I saw that there's the environment is unsettled somehow. Maybe something happened. You now ask this person, what happened? They say, and they said something. You ask the next person. Person say they said something. You ask the next person. By the time you ask 3 to 4 people, you'll be able to get an idea of what actually happened in that place. And you are now sure to just say that what these people have said, you consider it to be representative enough of what happened. You don't need to talk to everybody there to get an idea of what happened. But having talked to enough number of people, you know that if you ask the next person, they will not tell you something different from what others have said. But qualitative research is just a little different, that it is more focused than just going about and asking questions. It is guided by methodology and things like that. So in mixed method research, you are now combining both probability sampling and purposive sampling. It needs to be aligned to your study objectives and your study design. And you should talk about integrating your method and ensuring coherence. Look at this: sampling in sequential mixed method, concurrent or multi-level mixed method. If you are doing an explanatory sequential, remember explain, explore. Explain, quantitative, want to do describe, explain, predict and control. Qualitative, want to explore. So if you are doing explanatory sequential, that means you do quantitative first. So you first develop a quantitative sample size. You go and sample, you calculate your sample size, you maybe use Tarry-Yaman or Cochrane formula or anything. You go, you sample, then from there you come back and calculate your smaller sample size. For instance, maybe you do any number of number of interviews that you want to integrate. Exploratory sequential, you first do your, maybe you do your qualitative sampling, maybe you do snowballing, maximum variation, and any other method that is sufficient for you. Then you collect your data. After you are ready for the quantitative, you now do your quantitative calculation again and go ahead. And each phase informs the next. What you do in the first phase informs what you will do in the next phase. And concurrent mixed method, of course, you collect both quantitative and qualitative data simultaneously. Distinct samples are used. When I was doing my PhD data collection, I was using both key format interviews and surveys. But I made sure that those that were in my interviews were different from those that were in my survey. Although it's from the same environment, but I ensured that they were not part of those that filled my questionnaire. The data was collected at the same time. I had to work with research assistants, so they were able to do both quantitative and qualitative after training. So integration for my work happened at the time of analysis, where I embedded the two findings together. I've not published my work, otherwise I would have shared it with you to see. So this method is efficient but requires very careful coordination. So if you are doing multi-level mixed method sampling, for instance, sample can occur at multiple levels. You can do individual level sampling, organizational level. It's useful for complex multi-layered research. Maybe you are doing stepwise research such that is in several phases. For instance, you may have to do different level of sampling, and it combines both purposive and probability methods across several levels. Here are some guidelines for mixed method research and sampling according to these two authors. Align your sampling with research questions. Yes. Balance representativeness and depth. Integrate sampling decisions across your method, both quantitative, qualitative, etc. Specify the purpose of mixing. Consider contextual and resource factors. Contextual, is it going to be easy to collect this data? The settings that you need to collect quantitative data is different from the settings for qualitative. Will it be feasible? Resource, do I have the manpower? Do I have the time, energy, and the people resource to complete this work? However, be flexible and adaptive, especially if you are doing mixed method. As things change, you may need to make adjustments. Just make sure you carry your IRB and your any other person that is of interest along. Evaluate and document all your sampling decisions and ensure transparency and rigor in your work. So this is the end of my discussion on sampling in mixed method research. Do I have a question?
There are two questions in the chat. There is, what is power analysis? And please shed more light on the use of probability and purposive strategies in qualitative sampling.
Power. All right, thank you very much. Power is okay. So whenever you want to do sampling in quantitative research, they say that your sampling should be such that your sample size should be large enough to be able to detect the right kind of result that you want to detect in your research. If you want to detect a change between one group or the other, your sample size should be large enough that it can be able to detect the right kind of differences that you are detecting. So there is a limited threshold. There's the minimum amount of people that you can involve for you to be able to carry out your work. So when you are calculating sample size, you can say what is the power, what is the there's this other thing that they used to do, P is equal to N equals to P minus Q all over something. This thing is off my head. So that is the idea of the power, but it's used primarily in quantitative research. I'll recommend if you get any textbook on power, you can just do a Google search on understanding power in quantitative research. I think it's a good thing, and anybody that understands sampling has won in life, because especially sampling technique, I found out from my years of consulting, is a major headache in research. So if you're able to understand and grasp sampling, you have really overcome a major challenge. So it is worth dedicating time to learning. Then the question again on purposive sampling, probability and purposive sampling. Okay, so in quantitative research, we have probability and non-probability sampling. Probability sampling is meant to give every eligible participant a fair chance of being in part of your research. The aim is to minimize bias, because once your sampling is biased, your result will be biased, your conclusion will be biased, and your findings will be biased, and your conclusion will be biased. For instance, if you end up choosing people that are from your neighborhood in your research, we cannot generalize your findings because it is biased towards your area. It is not representative of what could have happened generally. So we say that whenever you are designing your sample size, make sure that everybody has an equal chance of being in your research. So there are several techniques that are applied. One of them is simple random sampling, quota sampling, multi-stage sampling, and all those stuff. So you may need to go and read more on quantitative sampling. It's not part of my presentation, otherwise you will have seen it in my slide. So purposive sampling is another example of sampling that is used in both quantitative and qualitative research. We use it mostly when you are dealing with hard to reach or hard to find populations, because these people are not easy to find. Then you may use purposive sampling where I'm talking about snowballing. Purposive sampling is that you know the people that have the information It's not generally available. So you have to go directly to find those people for your work, which is primarily what they do in qualitative, because you are not interviewing a lot of people. So you go straight for those that can provide the information. You want to talk to people that have been through war survivors in your community, and you know that war has not happened recently, then you know that you have to be very purposive to go and find people that have been in a community where there was war, right? So that one, you cannot just do simple random sampling, say give everybody a fair chance. You collect data till tomorrow, you will not find people that will fit into your sample size. Whereas if you use purposive sampling, you can go directly to meet those people. If you are doing a key informant interview, you want to talk to experts, you have to go and look for the experts purposively, deliberately, and talk to them. That is purposive. But probability, everybody has a fair chance of being part of your data. In qualitative, you look for those that can give you the most information. So that is how they are different from one another. And then the person that talked about, I saw something about saturation in qualitative research. You don't do science. You don't do saturation in quantitative research. Once your sample size is well calculated, you should be able to get sufficient information from it. There are a lot of underlying theories and explanations behind quantitative sampling. Talk about normality, the population parameter, and all those stuff. But in qualitative research, saturation means that, let me explain. You are interested in a particular phenomenon. How many people can you talk to so that you will get sufficient information? You say, if I ask two people, you talk to person A told you point 1, told you A, B, C, D, E. You talk to person B told you B, D, F, J. You talk to person C told you A, B, F, J. You talk to person D told you A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J. You talk to person E, the person told you everybody has been talking, nobody is talking beyond point J. Now it's like all this matter revolves around point A to J. There's no K, there's no L. Once I realize that I've talked to enough people and all of them are repeating the same thing, the next person I'm talking to is not likely to give me any new information. Then you have reached saturation. So that is what we mean by saturation in qualitative research. So I'll proceed to reporting your results because we have the time is running now, and I have a few number of things. Then we'll do more discussion.
Dr. Ido, we have
yes, ma'am.
One more question. We have someone who's raised their hand. Alison.
Okay, please proceed.
The final question.
Yeah. Thank you, Doctor. I'm Alison from Uganda Matters University, PhD student. My question is, I am also carrying out the study using mixed methods, but my objective one will require me to construct a data collection tool, semi-structured questionnaire, in the sense that I need to gather both qualitative and quantitative, but mainly quantitative. But now my dilemma is, now that the qualitative aspect of it may reach a level of saturation, meaning the number of respondents for qualitative research should be less, while those also quantitative should be more. I don't know how will it balance up, because if I am to get the quantitative data, that means I need more respondents. And again, at the same time, the same respondents are supposed to give me some qualitative information. Will the data not be beyond? Will the saturation point not go past? That's my question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Your interview, the number of your interviews can never be the same number of people that will fill your questionnaire. It shouldn't. If it is, it is wrong. Your question, your interviewers, you can say like, okay, how many people can I reasonably talk to on this subject matter that will give me enough breadth of information? That is why when we are doing qualitative interview, you don't just talk to everybody. You talk to those that have the information that you need. For instance, so what we'll do is that we'll go at the stakeholder level or key informant level. But if it's something that involves the community, you can do a focus group discussion. If you do 2, 3, 4 focus group discussion, it's likely that you will get sufficient information. How do I explain this now? So, first of all, you cannot use the same sample size for quantitative and qualitative. It is wrong. In your quantitative, maybe you are doing 400 questionnaire. You can't do 400 interviews. In fact, you cannot do 50 interviews. It is wrong. What you should do is you should consider who are the people that have the information that I need. When you identify them, are they in different clusters? If they fall to different clusters, say, okay, what is the best way to get information from them? For instance, if one of your respondents are municipal chairman, we call them local government chairman here. You can't gather local government chairman for a focus group discussion. It is not likely because they will not have the time. Or executive director of a primary healthcare or for a primary healthcare center. You can't gather them for a focus group discussion because they will not have time. But you can do one-on-one interview with them. You can go and meet them and do interview with them. If you talk to one or two of them, it's likely they will give you enough information. What do you do next? Go and talk to maybe artisans. Artisans, they are more in number than directors. So you can be able to gather a number of them for focus group discussion. So you can integrate some focus group discussion, some interviews, so that you can have a rounded understanding of the subject matter of interest. Does it shed more light to your work? So you don't need a lot of the same. You shouldn't do the same number of interviews for your questionnaire. However, if you're interested in qualitative data from your question, people that fill your survey, you can put some open-ended questions there that they will answer. Then you can do a qualitative analysis of those open-ended questions. But remember, it will take you a little bit more time, but there are still some ways around it. All right. Did I answer your question? Is it satisfactory?
Yeah, you have answered, but I think my point was in the questionnaire I would include some open-ended questions. So
Yes.
my dilemma was now those open-ended questions will not be too many because there are going to be so many respondents who are going to answer the questionnaire. Are there the views not going to be too many, and how will I analyze them? Thank you.
Yes. Number one, I will strongly recommend that your open-ended questions should not be too many. Because if it's too many, it will cause issue for you.
Just for them.
One of the things you should probably do is that take time. If possible, you can do a pilot. A pilot study will help you to know what are the questions to include in your questionnaire, what are the questions to remove. That's why you can do a small qualitative research first, where you can be able to understand what are the questions that you can put in your questionnaire. For instance, you don't have a sample questionnaire that has been done in a study before. You don't know what questionnaire to use. You can do a few interviews, key interviews, strategic interviews. From the interview, you get your key themes. Maybe you say, okay, what are the causes of, you want to do a study on the effect of, let me think of something, effect of social media use on academic performance, and you don't have a questionnaire to use. You can go and talk to students. What is the effect of social media on academic performance? Say, somebody said you don't have time to read. Another one said it costs you money. It costs you money. Another one said it will make you feel tired and restless. So after you have talked to like several students, you now gather that what are the causes they listed. One said it will cost you money. Another one said it will take your time. Another one says, so you now have like 6 options. You now develop questionnaire. What are the effects of social media use? A, this, B, this one. You share the questionnaire out. Now you can give to a large number of people. Then you now put another open-ended, others. It's most likely that people will pick based on the options that you have already prepared, and your options are informed by what you have already found out in the community, so that to save you time from having to do a lot of open-ended questions. So what I would recommend is that take time to develop a good questionnaire and do a pilot. If possible, if you have the time, you can do open-ended pilot. Maybe 20 people. When you do the piloting, come back, assess the data, what are the distribution of their responses, use it to develop a sample questionnaire, do it to another pilot, leave open-ended questions again, then come back and see what are the pattern of responses, so that you can be able to get a strong questionnaire which will minimize your need to do a lot of open-ended questions. That way you are doing a sequential exploratory research. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, it is clear, Doctor.
It's very clear. So again, what I'm recommending is that you should not, it's not wise for you to have too many open-ended questions in your work, because analysis will be very challenging. You don't know what it takes to analyze qualitative open-ended question. Let me explain to you how it is analyzed. If you have an open-ended question that is in a questionnaire, that means you have like 400 different responses, and everybody will not write the answer the same way, so you cannot get frequency of their responses. There are two ways by which I go about this thing. One way is that I'll create an extra variable in my data. I'll just bring the data like that into my analysis software. Let's see SPSS. And I'll create an extra variable at the side. I'll try to categorize each of their responses after reading through one after the other. So categorize till I continue to decompose till I can now say, okay, this is the category of their responses. Still, you have a lot of loose ends that you have to keep tidying up. So the other alternative to this is to do a full-scale qualitative analysis of that data. So how do you do it? Software like MaxQDA allows you to import mixed method data. So in MaxQDA, your qualitative data is brought in, and each person's response is recorded against their name. So you can have 400 responses. Then you cannot apply codes to them in a thematic manner, as if you are doing a qualitative research fully. Then you can now do all the thematic this thing, and you can now pick direct quotations from those to support your findings. So it's very possible. I've seen it before and I've done it before as well. So yes, qualitative is not about numbers, but the information received from the right people. Don't mix quant and qualitative and all those stuff. All right, thank you very much everybody that has contributed. Let's go to the last part, and then we'll go to questions and answers. In report writing in mixed method. Reporting shapes the interpretation and application of your work, and a clear presentation of both quantitative and qualitative data is important. So when you are reporting, you should tailor your report to your target audience and ensure integration, which makes accessibility and meaning easy. So these are some general advice for your report writing. State your purpose and design clearly. Am I doing quantitative, convergent, or explanatory, etc. Organize your results logically, objective by objective. If you are doing both, you can put quantitative first, put qualitative next. Some will say they want the result to be embedded in one another. As you are putting the quantitative, put the qualitative inside it to support the finding immediately. Some present all the quantitative first, then you present the qualitative. Balance the quantitative and qualitative data. Then integrate your findings. You can put side-by-side comparison, can do transformation, or joint display table. In a joint display table, you present like a 3-column table. Then you say findings A, quantitative support or oppose, qualitative support or oppose. Then the last question, what's your remark? Are they together or separate? I hope I'll be able to find some of them. Then visualize clearly. In quantitative research, you visualize your data using tables or graphs. And in qualitative, you can use network, thematic map, sociograms, and all those stuff to visualize your data. Show convergence or divergence. The quantitative and qualitative data, is it that the qualitative is supporting what you found? You find in your quantitative that most people like to check their phone in the morning. You now interview people. Did they say the same thing that confirm what you found, that most people like to check their phone in the morning? Or qualitative is saying something different? If you are saying different, then you have something to think about. Is it that something is wrong with your methodology, or that is exactly what the data is saying? Back your result with evidence. In quantitative, you give us tables, you give us p-values, you give us quantitative data to support your work. But in qualitative, you give us direct quotations as proof of groundedness of your results in your data. Then you can also do some thematic map, like I mentioned, just to give us proof that your report is supported by evidence from your data. So note the strengths and limits of your work and connect your theory to your literature in your report writing, and align everything with your questions, your method, and your results. Also, in reporting, your style of reporting depends on your design type. For instance, convergent, you may present your results separately and then compare them. You can present your results separately and compare them. Explanatory, you do the quantitative first, then you support the qualitative. Exploratory, you do the qualitative first, and then you now go back and do the quantitative, whichever, and the embedded, one data set supports another. Overall, effective reporting is based on clarity and integration of visual. Clarity plus integration of your findings plus visual. So those are the main things that relate to the proof and strength of your qualitative findings. So now, before I don't know if you have any question, you can bring it up. I want to show us some papers in mixed method. Thank you for the applause, it's appreciated. Confirm that you can see my screen, please.
Yes.
All right, thank you very much. So let's look at some of these papers that I found online. So this one is perceived mattering in young adults' romantic relationships. Mark Marshall et al. 2004. So the central goal of this study is to examine the construct of perceived mattering, the psychological tendency. Let me increase the zoom. The psychological tendency to perceive the self as significant to specific others. That's how you matter with regards to a romantic partner. So say in study 1, data were collected from young adults involved in romantic relationship, 173, using open-ended survey response technique. That's quantitative. Findings from a qualitative analysis provided complex and rich information about young adults' perceptions of mattering to their current romantic partner. This is qualitative, right? Responses were used to develop a scale which was administered in study 2 to a sample of 99 young adults in romantic relationship. Analysis indicated that the scale is internally consistent and tests for association with measures of quality of alternative relationship satisfaction and investment size offer support for the validity of the measure. So they did quantitative in study 1. They did both quantitative and qualitative analysis. Okay, open-ended survey response. Open-ended means that they allow them to talk. They do not give them answers, just talk freely. And then they use that one to develop a scale on maybe perceived mattering scale. So this is a mixed method research. And this is just the abstract. The entire article is not available. So let's look at another one. I have a number of them here. So this one is exploring health promotion lifestyle behaviors of Japanese college women, perceptions, practices, and issues. Tashiro, what is it, 2002. The purpose of this study was to
Dr. Ido, we lost you there. One moment.
Okay. Am I still audible?
Yes,
what
now
was the
you
last thing you said from me,
Yes,
please?
you are now audible. You are now audible now.
What do you say, sir?
Now
we can
audible.
hear you now.
All right. Did you know when I started this part? Were you hearing me when I started this part?
We had a Japanese.
No.
Okay, let me start all over again. Exploring health promotion lifestyle behaviors of Japanese college women, Perceptions, Practices, and Issues, Tashiro, 2002. So the purpose of this study was to explore health-promoting lifestyle behaviors of college women in Japan. In addition, perceived health status and concerns were evaluated. The method used were both qualitative and quantitative. Qualitative data from focus groups with 38 Japanese college women were used to develop a questionnaire. So, first of all, they did qualitative interview with some women. That information was used to now develop a questionnaire. This is an exploratory research, sequential exploratory research, where they first did qualitative research, then they now use it to develop a quantitative tool, right? Subsequently, 546 randomly selected college women responded to the male survey. So 38 in the quality. You see that the sample sizes were totally different. 38 against 546. The investigator concluded that perceived HPLB status were mutually associated, thus to increase perceived health status or decrease perceived health concerns. Multi-healthy lifestyle behaviors must be considered, and so on and so forth. This is another one. Let me show you this PDF file. I think I got this one. It's exploring the dimensions of organizational assimilation and validating a measure. Hello, can you hear me, please? I think I'm frozen.
We can hear you.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right, thank you. I think I observed that my internet froze. So this is another paper exploring the dimensions of organization, now assimilation, creating and validating. Myers and Oetzel. What year was that? 2003. The purpose of this study was to create and validate a measure of organizational assimilation index. Organizational assimilation describes the interactive mutual acceptance of newcomers into organizational settings. Membership from the advertising, banking, hospitality, university, non-profit, and property industries participated in 2 phases of the research. In the first phase, 13 interviews suggested 6 dimensions of organizational assimilation. And the second phase involved analysis of survey of 342 participants that appear to validate the 6 dimensions. So they first did 13 interviews which identified 6 dimensions. When they now did the survey confirmed it. So let's look at how they reported their work. This is the background. So I want to see where they wrote the objective. Such a measure in the study reported here proceeded in 2 stages and so on and so forth. Let's look at their methodology chapter. Is it there? Let me see if they have their methodology presented in their work. Okay, so participants, can you hear me, please?
Yes.
All right. Okay.
Yes.
We can hear you clearly. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Look at the hypothesis here. These are the hypotheses. The study unfolded in 2 phases. The process of phase 1 was to answer the research question defining the dimensions of organizational assimilation. So the first had to define what are the dimensions of organizational assimilation by asking organizational members to describe their assimilation experience. Then in phase 2, they now develop a questionnaire to go and confirm from more people whether what those people said was true. So participants, to ensure that the measure will be appropriate for assessing assimilation, regardless of organizational level, members of several different types of organization. So what they are doing now is place validity and place triangulation. Sorry, they went to collect their data from different sources so that the data can be triangulated from different locations so that they can show that the finding is not representative of only one place, but it's applicable to multiple locations. Then 7 women and 6 men who represented a wide range of positions within the organization, tenure, age, industry, participated in the interview. And these are the demographics. Data collection, interview. We designed the question in such a way as to help the interviews think about their organized status as organizational members are changed, and all those, they put it in the appendix. Then the first 2 questions they describe. So I said that so this is why I was saying that the level of competence in the 2 methodology is not like I am 10% in one, 90% in the other. Both of them require equal amount of rigor. The same rigor as if you are doing a full qualitative work and a full quantitative. That is practically what you are doing. You are practically doing 2 studies once you are doing mixed method. So they do the interviews, then analysis of phase 1 data. So they wrote their method of analysis here using management work, which is fine. They identified teams by sorting the initial scheme into concrete categories and subcategories. I want to see if we can get to the result. Then third, and then the result, familiarity with others, included getting to know the result and all this. So this is for phase 1. So we labeled the 3rd dimension recognition. Account participants being recognized as a valuable member and feeling that their work was important to ensure was a significant part of feeling accepted. Jessica, a hotel manager, identified a defining moment in assimilation when she was able to use her ability to speak Spanish to rescue her general manager. She remembered, he came to me and said, I need your help. I have all these ladies, they don't speak English. I translated the meeting for him and I was excited to be able to do this for my general manager. This is evidence of recognition. So this evidence of recognition from the data. Some participants suggested that they can tell when someone was not assimilated into the organization because of the employee's level of involvement and all those stuff. So she doesn't feel any connection with the people that are in their class, for instance. And then job competency. Oh yeah, the first sale helped a lot. So they provided evidence for their report. This one is about adaptation and role negotiation. Just before I joined the company, they had undergone a massive refinancing. There was a strong drive to control costs throughout the company, but I spent a little more and be told I was spending too much than save the company a nickel and get the place and have the place get run down. This is evidence from the data. So then now constructed a questionnaire. Having constructed the questionnaire, they now went full scale to conduct a quantitative data collection, organizational assimilation. So procedure, methodology for quantitative. They did factor analysis with Amos and doing all the conversion and everything like that. Then we now have tables, no more quotations. We're not talking about factor loading, supervisor familiarity. I feel like I know my supervisor pretty well. My supervisor sometimes discusses problem with me. So remember the lady that said that the supervisor had a problem and came to her. So he had a problem. So supervisor familiarity, for instance. Supervisor and I talk together often and all those stuff. So then we have all these correlation metrics. This is not quantitative. So last I said that you must not, if you are doing mixed method, you should know quantitative method and qualitative method. If you don't know it, you must get expert support or collaborate with somebody that knows it. Tashiro, that one we're looking at earlier. So let's look at what they did in their own work. The investigator, okay, the first focus discussion, they now went to other people to do survey, right? Then you see their methodology. I think maybe I'll just share these papers with us in the group so that you can see their methodology as well. And then their result, perceived concern. These are the findings from the quantitative. They present the quantitative findings. Quantitative findings. Up to all of these are quantitative. I think probably they present the qualitative differently. Let me show you one more. This one is a study by Wandel. It says improving quality of life using compound mind-body therapies, of course, intervention with body movement and breath therapy. guided imagery, chakra experiencing, and mindfulness. Fenros, Verhoeven, and Wandel, 2008. Objective: assess changes in quality of life and in sense of coherence after an intervention involving self-development course. Design a questionnaire using so and so, etc. Setting a training center, main outcome. All right, let me see. Are we on track on this method? So individual the center, and also let me see. Additional courses, biomechanical. Let me see. I'm not sure this one has a qualitative aspect. It's not about that there's, yes, it's an experimental protocol case control study. The control group represents people who has okay, did they mention interview here? I'm not sure. I think I must have brought in this paper in error. No, they didn't mention an no. No, you didn't mention an interview. I think I must have brought in this paper in error. So I think I will stop at this point. And I want to think that with all of this we have done, we've had some understanding of mixed method research and what it entails. Okay, let me complete my slide. Yes, we have one more activity. Let me take some questions before I complete my slide. I have a few things to do more on my presentation as I round up. Any question, please?
There is a question about triangulating from CC.
Okay.
How do you handle cases where findings from the different sources are conflicting? For instance, the employees say the executive does not consider staff well-being. On the other hand, the executive says that they do take care of staff and even give documented examples.
Okay. So now that's fine. That's one reason why we do call it. This is a triangle. This is not a mixed method problem. It is okay. Maybe you give interview to some people. You did questionnaires for some people. Number one, you may. So in this situation, probably interpretation of interpretation of care will be different. Maybe what the manager means by taking care of people is different from what the people mean by taking care of their people, right? For instance, if a woman tells her husband, "You don't love me anymore," the man say, "You say I don't love you. I give you money I work, I go out of the day even when I don't feel like it. I provide for all your needs. I buy things for the children. Your birthday I celebrated. Your mother died. I paid money. I provided money. I do this and this and that. What do you mean by I don't care for you?" But what care may mean for the woman may be that they don't spend time to go for movies. And the man doesn't have time for movies. So maybe the meaning of care to the two parties are different. You may want to look at your data. If it doesn't explain what those parties, the management has provided evidence of care, look at it. What does the management define as care for the people? Then look at what the people have said. What did they define as care? I don't know. Does it make sense what I'm saying? Maybe the meaning, the two parties' definition of care are probably different from one another, and that is the cause of the disparity. Is that fine? Does it answer your question?
Yes, yes.
All right. So if I don't get another question, I'm going to count to 5. If I 10, if I don't get 5, if I don't get any question, I'll proceed. 1. Any question? Going 2. Any question? 3. Any question? Ask who? 4. Okay. I believe there are no questions, and I believe you've had a nice time. So it's time to write another test. Sorry, you are dealing with a psychologist and also happen to be a researcher. You cannot go scot-free. It's the same test that you took earlier. So I want to do a post test now to see how much you have actually gained. So those of you that scored 120, can you score 150 now? Let me see. And those that scored 100, can you do 150? So 10 minutes again. It's time for your test. Your time starts now. So see if you can get those ones you missed earlier. Can you get them, or they are still as confusing? Okay, let me post the link in the chat for those that probably did not see it at the beginning.
I've posted it.
All right, thank you very much. I'm grateful. So as you are finishing, be posting your scores. Let's see. As you are finishing, posting your scores. We are rounding up, so
I can't find the link, sir. I can't find the link.
I'll post it again in the chat. Though Kagenda has posted it for us, but I'll post it again in the chat. And it's also on your screen if you want to type it out, if you want to scan the QR code. But I've put it in the chat again, so you can attempt it again. 8 minutes to go. So we've used 3.5 minutes now. We still have enough time. So let's keep going.
I still can't have accessed the link. I don't know.
Check there. What's the group chat? Or you can see the link is on your screen already, sir. Can you just type it out? bit.ly/mixed methods quiz, all in small letter. bit. You can type the link on your screen, or you can also use your QR code scanner to scan it. bit.ly/mixed method quiz. Methods, there's S there, methods. 5 minutes to go. Once you are done, you can start posting your scores in the chat so that we'll see how you've performed this time around. If executed means that you are true, you can post your score so that we'll see what it's like. And all right. Oh yeah, 150 over 150. These people are vexed. 150 over 150, correct. 130, 150, 70 is fine. It's fine. So in this situation, and I cannot do interview for this person that scored 70. What happened? Was it hard, or was the concept so new, or something? Three minutes to go. $90, $150. Oh, all right, no problem. 130. Well done, everybody. We're almost through. Yes, you can go back to the question to study. I think I'll just leave it there for anybody that wants to make use of it. So I'm not planning to delete it. You're welcome. Mixed method statistical result. All right, we are almost done. Less than a minute to go. $150 over 150, correct. I'm impressed. You people have shown that you understood what I was explaining and you're able to relate it with your work. Thank you very much. All right. So I think we are wrapping up. Yeah, 150, 130, 150, 130. Can I back yours? You can use for study. Please share the slides. Slides will be shared. Please share the slides. Slides will be shared. Please, can I have the test? I just joined. The link to the test, I'm posting it again. It's on your screen as well. All right, so thank you, everybody. In closing, so these are the bibliography of materials that we used for both this session and the previous session, and I think you need to have them. And then the Atlas C material that was used, this is it. This is the actual citation, the Guide to Mixed Method Research, Karpukas and Heka 2023, so you can make use of it. And so thank you very much for having me. I'm grateful for the privilege. Thank you, Kagendo. Thank you, Africana Journal Club. Thank you, Ada Africa. So Idomishile signing out.
Wow. I think everybody will agree that that was quite a ride. Huh? You started off on a high and we ended on a high. And I think you have, let me see if I'm using the terms well. You've used multi-method ways of teaching. Mixed methods survey. Mixed methods to check on our learning through now the test. And you even asked the person who scored 70, what was going on, and the one who scored 140. So we are truly grateful. You have really gone above and beyond to make us understand this area of research that it's proving like it is understanding both, that both need equal weight in terms of your expertise, experience, time, and all that. So we are so grateful. And yes, we shall be sharing this. And I think we might call you from the questions that I saw. I think we might call you maybe later on in the year for just a session on sampling. Maybe members can agree on that, but I picked up that as an area of concern. And even you mentioned that it's one of the areas that a researcher needs to really master. But we are so grateful for your experience. You are truly a teacher. And we have so thank you so much for your time. So for those who need the resources, please join Ada Africa. The link is there so that you can access all the materials, including the first part and now today. Yes, so we are looking forward to having you coming as needed to really guide us in this area of research. Thank you and God bless you. And God bless everyone who came today. And yeah, we are going to release Dr. Ido so that we give back to you your day. But please pat yourself on the back and say, it has been a wonderful job done.